was it's early, about 5:45, Thursday, January 25th, 2024. All is well with me. No complaints. Just tired. I just woke up. That doesn't make sense, right? My son does that all the time. He sleeps and then he wakes up and he's like, I'm tired, which is understandable, but it is what it is, right? So, what updates can I share with you? I do have a kind of a topic. I don't know how long this one's going to be, but an update. I did submit a couple of my Amazon listing photographs to a person on Fiverr. So he's working on it now. I don't see any updates right now. I gave him some more information on it. Kind of gave him an idea what I was looking for and all that good stuff. And we'll see what he does. Highly rated, as most people on Fiverr are, but we'll see. I get 3 revisions. Hopefully, it's not much of a revision, but we will see. I mean, at the end of the day, it's my pictures, right? We'll see how that works out and all that good stuff. So, other pictures that I thought he was going to work on because his ad is really misleading is one of them said like 112, like 12 pictures. So I was ready to get that for 12 pictures, but then he said, no, it's a different service. What happens is that there's copy behind all that stuff. And then that the images will be made for the copy for the listings. So then, which you always have to watch out for people on Fiverr, because one of the things about that service in particular, which is a lot of services, don't want to beat Fiverr up on this too much, is that you are involved in the whole process. Meaning that, yeah, you provide the ideas of the photographs or the project. You also provide the copy. And that was in this case, the situation. And I said, dude, I can use ChatGPT for that to work on the copy and to revise it myself. I'm sure that's what he was going to do. But he didn't even provide the copy, the writing, the salesman scripts, so to speak. So I would have to be involved in that. So I told him just get the pictures. And I was able to use Canva to do, I took the pictures, used a photo booth, came out mostly good. The isolations, it's a little eerie, but whatever on the background. But it did come out. I was having issues because, when you're doing editing, photo editing, I used to do that quite a bit back in the days of my photography business empire, is that if you keep increasing the exposure, you start to blow it out. And the way that the photo booth works is that there's light really just overhead. And then you have a white background in the middle. And then on the sides, you have reflector type of panels. But the light is coming from the top. And then when you're dealing with photography, no matter what, if you keep increasing the temperature or the light, it gets brighter, but that doesn't mean it's going to be an even type of a splash to all other corners of the image. So you're still going to have more so like a hotspot on top of the image. So that's what was happening when I was taking the image. So it was very hard to isolate the background. Again, I'm not good at Photoshop, so of course you can try to take the middle of the image and do it that way. But for me, it wasn't really working. So Canva came through. It isolated the background. I made it white, and then after you make it white, you can play around with the image itself and not really mess around with the background. So it looks extremely professional, white background. I did a couple of those images, and then you can play around with it later too if you want to. But I did the front of the bag, back of the bag, some, as he would say, three-dimensional images, and then there's some more product photography. In the house, I do have a setup that looks pretty good to me, you know? So yeah, so that was more so the situation at hand with that. And that took a while. I spent mostly Sunday working on it. And then late afternoon on Monday working on it too. But I didn't waste my money or images on images that I could, so to speak, do myself. And it came out pretty well after I figured out what was going to work, what didn't work, and just going through the trials and tribulations and heartaches and just using a lot of time doing something that I shouldn't really be doing, but it's my business. I have to kind of keep going to see this through, to see how it all makes sense. Hey, big boy. Okay. Cool. Go feed her. Go feed her, okay? Yeah. Oh, he's gonna feed you. But yeah, so it has to be this way for a while. It's been this way for a while. So it's something that I am used to. So yeah, like what I do. There's a bowl already in there in her food. Oh. So yeah, so that was going on with that. What else did I do? I am still modifying my home office studio slash YouTube studio and all that good stuff. And that's been going pretty well mostly, you know. Yeah, I am close to getting my chair, a sofa and also a chair. My wife is saying that's a dumb idea to get the chair to crowd the room, which you will kind of actually will, but I want what I want, right? So we shall see if that makes any more sense. I will look into it in the next couple of days or a week or so. No rush on it. It just feels good to kind of taking my time on it and seeing where it goes and see what it looks like. And I do have really good, relatively good angles from all perspectives of the room, so I can utilize that quite a bit. So that's going good. Played around with my camera setup. I do have a couple of tripods that I can use for the setup, and I did order a ball head. So we'll see how that works out with what I'm thinking about. But yeah, things are coming together. I have not edited another video on YouTube since last week. I do need to finalize the video for this week, which is going to be a voiceover of me brewing coffee. And I always kind of think about, like, what should I do? How should I do it? And I keep thinking in my head of the best ways I'm going to say witty things and all that stuff. But I think it's just going to be a one take, right? And it is going to be what it is. And of course, you modify it or edit it as I go on. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where I just need to do it. I already have the next video kind of lined up, and we shall see where all that goes. and I'll see if there's a need for me to record more towards the next video. But I do need to get the voiceover completed. I will go for that today. And I use this mic. This mic works out pretty well. I love the podcast and all that good stuff, the software and stuff. I can put some magic dust on it and it sounds even more clearer. Even if I'm mumbling, blah, 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 blah. But yeah. But YouTube is difficult. It's not easy. It's a lot of planning and work and jobbing but I will get better eventually. And I think that's going to be the thing that I need to take into consideration as I do this. I'm not going to be good at it. It's going to take a long time. And one thing that I realized too about it, let me see if I can bring it up, is my my videos they're just there, right? But it's interesting how one time 11 days ago I'm getting 88 views, and then I did another video, only get 3 views. I would have to say the what's called it does suck. It does suck. The whatever, it is what it is. But it'll get better. The thumbnail. So thumbnail, school and whatever else, it's interesting to see how certain things work better than others. So yeah, that process is kind of alarming and kind of interesting, and it's gonna be fun. But yeah. Um. So yeah. So let's talk about the topic real quick. Smoky coffee. I don't know if you've gone through that or realized that before, but smoky coffee is a real thing. Have I done that before? Of course I have. I've done that recently. I think I did it with the Kenyan coffee. And what smoky coffee, I'll tell you how you create or produce smoky coffee and what it tastes like in the cup. The way you make smoky coffee is that you put the coffee into the coffee roaster, you roast it, you keep roasting it, it gets closer to first crack. And then after you do that, you don't increase the airflow temperature. You don't always have to, but it does help mitigate the smoke in the roaster when it starts to go through that process. But if you don't do it, the smoke stays more so in the roaster, and it just circulates with the beans and stuff. And as you keep roasting the coffee, depending on how dark you want to get it, that coffee tends to get coated with smoke. Tends to get coated with smoke. It's like baking with smoke. And since it was a dark roast, you leave it in the smoker a lot. I mean, in the roaster a lot longer than the medium roast. So that's why you can kind of get away with not playing around with the air temperature, airflow. But it gets smoky, right? And when it tends to get there, the beans get coated. And some people love that because they love dark roast and they know or they think that that robust taste makes them more of a true person, true man, you know. But what you try to do with dark roast, or at least what I try to do, is that I roast it in a way to where it does highlight as much as you can of that coffee with it being limited. Because you've roasted quite a bit of the flavor out, but that's all you want on it. You don't want anything else on the coffee. You don't want another artificial type of feeling or taste on that coffee. You want that coffee to shine on its own, so to speak. And the way you do that is to move the air into the roaster. I don't know if I'm interchanging smoker and roaster, but it's kind of more the same thing. I don't know if you've ever like smoked meat. And a lot of times when you're smoking meat, especially in the beginning, you tend to want to close the air, air opening. And you want to kind of like get that oven as hot and as concentrated as possible. So that's why you want to keep the smoke in the roast in the smoker. But for the coffee roaster, you want to mitigate that air as much as possible. You want to increase the airflow to move the air. That's really the point of that. Of course, to move the chaff, the coffee waste particles and all that stuff. But you want to move the coffee in a way to where that smoke can get out. But that's what happens. It could happen when you're lazy, or if the roaster's dirty, so it tends to keep and hold a lot more smoke because it's not as clean. Could be the weather, the temperature is too humid, so it gets very sticky, and things tends to stay in the roaster a lot more because it's not moving as much as it should. So yeah, so that's what happens. And that's what happened with this particular coffee in general. So before I roast again, I am going to look at the roaster to see if there's anything that I do need to clean, any blockage to kind of move the air, because I've always, most of the time, worked with the same airflow throughout the roast. But in this case is always a good indicator of like, okay, I do need to probably clean things. This is why a lot of times when people say like coffee roasting is it's exact, it's pure, it's just repeatable, that's a lot of bullshit, you know. The reason why is because you're a human being, so you may have a protocol of cleaning your equipment, or you may have not have this, you may not have the same amount of roast that you're dealing with. That can also affect you not being on top of your game plan when it comes to cleaning your equipment and your protocol. Things always change, and there's a lot of variables that they're not telling you or keeping consistent. So yeah, so that's more so the things that will make sense in all of this. So what happens to the cup actually? What when you drink it, what happens? Well, it kind of translates a little bit when you go about. But what are you doing, Logan? What are you doing? You're not gonna get much of it at all when you actually drink it with additives, because it kind of gets masked a little bit. It gives you more of that robust taste. But when you're drinking it black, it it doesn't taste good. It's just smoky. It's just, you can't get past that smoky taste. and I've witnessed that a couple times at different coffee shops and stuff like that down the years. And again, the best way to mitigate that is to move the air, so to speak, or give the coffee out for free or something and tell your customer, my bad. But that's kind of like what you're dealing with quite a bit a lot of times when it comes to that smoky flavor. So watch out for that. Watch out, taste the coffee, see what if you can taste, what you're tasting when it does occur. So, and that's one thing that we as we coffee roasters try to mitigate, try to not do. But when we do it, it's one of those things that it is extremely important that we try to get better at and try to give you a product that you can be proud of each and every day until it runs out and then you buy it again, and hopefully that they're consistent again and that it tastes like what you taste like what you tasted the very first time. So yeah, so that's that. That's what we talking about with smoky coffee. Don't do it. Don't taste it. If you do, just watch out for it. Talk to you later. Bye.